Hey, here we are again. Hello everyone. Another live tech show is starting up. It's pretty cool. It looks great. And we're testing out something new this week. I'll be checking out a little bit about the lighting system situation. I found a great way that we can probably improve lighting. Hey everybody, welcome aboard. This is Live Tech Show number 87. We are September 5th, 2017, Tuesday of course. And this is a show where every Tuesdays we are live at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 1900 hours Universal Time. And we take a look at the week in news and technology, and also, answer questions. And of course, we've got a fantastic chat room, and we'll be testing out a few things today. I have some lighting ideas that I don't know why didn't pop up before, but this weekend I had some interesting idea with lighting when looking at a lighting system that actually could cost very little and be very effective to make things better for the show, of course, as we're always trying to make things better with the lowest amount of money available. So welcome everyone, and hope you enjoy our show. Hey, Miss Lady Catherine, nice to have you here. David Walker, Mohamed Habdik, Sean Robinson, Shervin Abdullah from Denmark. We have Douglas Elliott, hello there. The Tech Lower, hey there. Christine Bowman, nice to have you here. David Walker, we have Bobby Burgess from Louisiana. Albert Zappa, hello there. And Patrick Manny, woohoo. Nice to have all of you here. Cycler39, welcome aboard. And Jean-Richard Wilfriend, nice to have you on board. And it's always nice to have everybody here. And it's pretty cool. Ismael Massa, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to see everybody, the regular names, and of course new names, which is always cool because that's part of the fun of having a show that maybe is slowly increasing in audience as we get new people watching our show. So welcome aboard, and as I said, my name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and of course we just have fun with fantastic people, and it's always cool. Alex Tuttle, hey there, nice to have you here. Thanks. It's a I always get a remark of people. Someone likes the T-shirt when I wear this T-shirt, and it's funny because it's a T-shirt I actually won at a karaoke bar, so it's just funny. But I like the blue, you know. The blue is super beautiful, and I gotta say I love the T-shirt for that color. So welcome aboard. Yeah, Bobby, I've did try off and on 14325 upper sideband for the especially with the hurricane that's gonna hit the Caribbean pretty strong. There's a level 5 now, category 5, which is a very strong one. It's going to be something to listen to that net. Yep, no builds today, as Donna Sakar announced. No build today. They're trying to have one for tomorrow, so that's going to be okay. Mr. Petrov, nice to have you here, and nice to have everybody here. And it's cool to see Miss Lady Catherine. That seems to be in a wonderful shape with all these little hearts to say that she loves us all. And nice to have all of you here. Of course, one of the things that I have to talk about is donations. They help me continue through this show. So with donations, of course, we can continue. Without the donations, honestly, I probably would not be here anymore because I couldn't dedicate as much time doing these shows that I am actually doing right now. So it's something that helps me a lot. PayPal at paypal.me/shortwave, great way to send me a little something. You don't need a credit card on PayPal. You can actually link it to your checking account and you send whatever you want. Every amount helps. Don't worry about the amount. You know, sometimes get someone says, "Oh, I just can't give $1 or $2," and it's like, it's quite all right. If everybody would do that, it'd be great. So it's pretty cool. Also, Patreon at patreon.com/radioandcomputers, and basically there you can set up and join 12 patrons that we already have that actually help me every month, give me a little something. And of course, be careful the way you set it up, because it's easy to mess it up and get some weird amount taken off, and that's maybe the side that I don't like about Patreon. It's you got to really be careful the way it's set up, and don't forget to put a maximum amount that you want to be taken. But you know, PayPal's a great way to do it. PayPal.me/shortwave. And thank you for everybody that have donated. It's much appreciated. And if you've never donated and want to help out, please consider. It is very, very important in order for me to continue doing these shows. Okay. Oh, Bobby says new Google Chrome update now available. Oh, that's interesting. I'll check it out. Okay, and our tech news for this week. Hey, we got the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin is just going higher and higher all the time. I mean, it's just crazy. It reached $5,000 last weekend. And, you know, the Bitcoin has something that I don't like about it. You know, the pyramid schemes where, you know, people get basically scammed out of money by, you know, always investing over it, and it's like, you know, somebody somewhere has got to lose at some point. I always thought, and I always found that the Bitcoin was kind of similar in its, you know, in structure, and it's very, very weird. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in not trusting out this currency. I mean, the more we go into the future, the more it seems that that currency is actually a valid currency. But I gotta say, it's very, very weird what's happening. Very, very weird. And I don't know. I have a lot of problem testing the Bitcoin, and I don't know. There's something about Bitcoins that just isn't right, and I don't know why. I can't trust the Bitcoin. I don't know about you guys. You know, I mean, of course, if I have Bitcoins and can use them or do something, yeah, okay. But there's something about it I just don't like, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, the future. Some analysts are saying that, you know, they see it going as high as $25,000 or $50,000 or $100,000. I mean, wow, really, just crazy. Just crazy. And so I don't know. We'll see what happens with this, and I expect it to go higher. And I don't know. It's a very, very strange thing, and I don't totally understand it either. You know, I don't totally understand how it works and how its value works, and it's very, very bizarre. So we'll see. You know, it's the future of the Bitcoin. And where it goes, but it's very, very, very weird. And but it has a value. It has a value. Hello there, Mr. Daniel Walsh. Nice to have you here. Hey, Matthew Kelleher. Nice to have you here. The Vaults. Hello there. Nice to have you here from Latvia. And always nice to have everybody on board. So you know, it's one of those things that. I just can't trust for some reason, and I don't know. You know, if I one of the things that I could you know, I could have had Bitcoins. You know, when it started, I remember like they were like 25 cents or something like that, and I could like, you know, have bought some for a very low price, and I'd be rich today basically. But that's the problem with the Bitcoin also. I find it that it's I found it like it's very artificial. There's something not right, and I'm wondering, you know, if at some point if it's not gonna like crash. You know, everybody's gonna have like, you know, $25,000 $25,000 worth of you know, for each bitcoins, and then it's gonna like crash and be worth, you know, $2. A lot of people are gonna lose money somewhere. I don't know. I have this impression that the Bitcoin, something's fishy around that, and maybe it's just me. Maybe some that understand more that currency, how it works, find it okay, but I do find it a little fishy. So Bobby Burgess saying that 1 Bitcoin right now equals to 4,434 US dollars, 5,489 Canadian dollars. That's weird. It is a big difference. I mean, well, what about it? What, 20% difference? So 20% is 200. Yeah, okay, maybe, yeah, okay. About $800 difference at 4,000, yeah. Okay. Anyways, I don't know. And I sure don't have Bitcoins. If anybody wants to donate a Bitcoin for my show, by the way, I will accept it, even though I find it's a weird currency. So, you know, Vault says it's not a question of will it crash, but when will this crash? So, yeah, maybe that's the thing. You know, buy them and spend them immediately. I always find that, you know, when you compare it with that, that there's always that story that comes up. The guy that had Bitcoins that, you know, were worth maybe $5 each, and used like 2 Bitcoins or 3 Bitcoins to buy a pizza a few years back. And there's always you know, that story of, oh well, now today he's got a $15,000 pizza, you know. But you don't know. You really don't know. As for being backed by, it's not being backed by anything. You know, our regular currencies, you know, Canadian dollar, US dollar, and so on, is backed by the government in general. It's backed by the central banks. And it doesn't, you know, we got to be careful about one thing. It is not because, for example, the US dollar is backed by the US, you know, central bank and the US government, that it necessarily means it's a solid currency, impossible to, that it's impossible that it drops to a point where, you know, it's useless. Every currency is backed by trust at some point. You got to trust the government or the central bank behind it. So many countries around the world that we've seen, you know, go bankrupt and their currency just is worth nothing. So, you know, technically, it's really trust for our currencies, our regular currencies, as it's trust for the Bitcoin. You gotta just hope that it's something that it's, you know, worth it something, and that's it. Because there's nothing that prevents the Bitcoin from, you know, having a value of 0 tomorrow. But like I said, you know, if our economies go well and everything, our currencies are worth something. But, you know, we can't really say that our own currencies are necessarily more solid than the Bitcoin is at some point, because that also is trust in that our government is doing all right and that we're not going to go bankrupt tomorrow morning. And look at the huge fluctuations that our own currencies have. Of course, it's not the same scale as the Bitcoin, but still, you know, just look here in Canada, the US dollar was worth like 90 Canadian cents just 5 years ago, and now it's worth like $1.20. You know, and so there's some fluctuation around. It's not bad like this, but I don't know. It's we gotta, I guess, trust in all of that. It's the only way that it's going to work, basically. Farney Jr., hello there. Nice to have you here. It's been a while. So, in our next tech news, okay, Windows 7 versus Windows 10. A very interesting little thing here. And I mean, start looking at the numbers. You know, this week I was looking at the numbers for the month of August for how Windows 10 has Windows 10 has you know, increased slightly, about, you know, 0.5%. You know, looking at Windows 7, that's really, you know, decreasing slightly also, but, you know, at a very, very slow pace. And it's very interesting because you know, Microsoft has started multiplying its rules of, you know, oh, you got to go on Windows 10 because it's safer. You got to do this because it's better. You got to. But the more we're going into 2017, you know, we got to understand that in 2020, Windows 7 is going to be out of, you know, out of service. And when I look at the numbers this week, I'm kind of finding that it's not budging. Windows 7 by the end of the year is still going to be like 46-47%, which is almost the same as it was at the beginning of the year. And people are not budging. And you know what, I some people tell me sometimes, you know, oh, you're the tech guy, you must be pushing everybody on. No, you know what? I am the kind of tech guy that if you're on Windows 7 and you're happy with what you're doing, I will always tell that person, it's okay. You know, I'm not the one who's going to push anyone to another operating system, unless you're getting to the end of, you know, yes, if you ask me the same question in 2019, I'm going to say, well, you got to move to Windows 10 because in, you know, 6 months or a year, you're not going to be supported anymore. I think it's time to move on. But I don't know. I don't know. It's something that it's kind of interesting here, and you know, I get asked all the time. Don't you think that Microsoft will have to push back the date, like they did with Windows XP? You know, the big difference with Windows XP and Windows 7 basically is the fact that there's, you know, in Windows XP there was a big usage base and there was Vista which nobody liked, and so, you know, and Microsoft was kind of at a point where, okay, we've blundered a little bit here with Windows Vista. There are a mix of things that, okay, we're going to extend Windows XP a little bit. In the case of Windows 7, the difference is that Windows 10 is crucial to Microsoft's future ecosystem of things, how they work. And that's why I don't think they'll change their mind. They're just going to say, you got to move to Windows 10 and that's it. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting. And we'll see. You know, Microsoft isn't always, you know, rock solid. They sometimes back down. They often back down in decision. And we'll see. But I'm wondering, you know, you know, when you ask, it's very difficult to ask Microsoft anything because Microsoft doesn't respond to you about much. And the only thing we know is somebody somewhere said in a post, Microsoft, oh, we're happy where Windows 10 is right now. Okay. But I don't know. It's one of those things that's kind of going to be very interesting to see in the next year or two. What's going to happen exactly. So, very interesting. Shanu Inshad, hello there. Nice to have you here. Well, I don't see any difference in internet speed at all in Windows 10 and Windows 7. Actually, I find Windows 10 quicker at many things. But so it might be, you know, it's difficult to gauge this because there's so many configurations and so many different things, and you know, there's always situations and hardware that makes something work better than something else. And but personally, for the internet, I don't see a difference at all between Windows 7 and Windows 10. Jimmy Neutron, nice to have you here. Yep, build will be tomorrow probably if everything goes well. So she wasn't super enthusiastic though. You know, when they are enthusiastic, what happens is that they she says, oh, well, this build looks good. And basically, it should be tomorrow. She just said, well, we're going to try tomorrow. So I guess there might be some little issues here and there that they're not sure. But we'll see. We'll see. And it all depends. Vault says, still sit on Windows 7, my main desktop. 2 reasons. First, aesthetic. He finds Windows 10 ugly. And second, it reduces available choices for me as a user compared to 7. So, interesting. I actually like the Windows 10 aesthetic, but, you know, it's a personal thing. It's a personal thing. And I always say, you know, you're happy with Windows 7. It's okay. Why move on? It's okay. Move on someday, you know. As a tech guy, I've always said one thing. And it's you'll have a new operating system when you change your PC. And my clients always found that funny because most tech guys they had were, oh, you gotta move on to that new Windows. And every time they would ask me, they would say, well, you know, my friends came over and said, hey, I'm on an old version of Windows. And I always said, does it do what you want? And when they said, yeah, basically, it's, you know, you'll have a new operating system when you get a new PC. That's it. You know, especially the vaults. Yeah, I get it, especially with the Windows logo. I gotta say, it is true that Windows logo, the Windows 7 logo, I always thought was one of the most beautiful. I have to say, I agree with that. One of the most beautiful Windows logos ever done. That was a nice one. Compared to, yeah, that bland square, very squarey thing, you know, of the new logo. But you know, you just move on to a new version and that's it, you know. What else do we have here? With Beast on YouTube. I run 10 on this PC, works well with all my Adobe products and video web development, but 10 killed my other PC I used to record my songs. Run 7 on that one. Yeah, depending on the age, you know, Windows 10 isn't suited for everything, especially if your PC's a little old. I have one here, a Core 2 Toshiba laptop that I moved to Windows 10 and finally went back to Windows 7 on it because of actually the network driver would always crash, and I'd had blue screens all the time, which I never seen on other machines. So you know, there are situations where older machines, I think, are better left with Windows 7 for sure. Shanu in chat, as for the automatic updates of Windows 10, I never recommend to turn it off because they have so many security updates in there that not having security updates is dangerous. So my first version of Windows, actually I was on DOS. My first Microsoft operating system was the Microsoft Basic and the Commodore 128. And I believe the Commodore 64's Basic was also a Microsoft thing. But I had DOS and I had Windows for Workgroups 3.11 also, and so on. I didn't like, I was happy, Patrick Manny says Workgroups for 3.11 was good OS. I was happy when we moved to Windows 95 because what I really liked about Windows 95 was that for the first time we were moving away from DOS in a real OS, where Windows 3.1, its biggest problem is it was running on top of DOS. It was a DOS OS. And I found Windows 95 to be a major direction for Microsoft because of the fact that it didn't rely on DOS like Windows 3.11 did. Moody Said, hello there, nice to have you on board as usual. So, well, those PCs must be running really well with Beast, for sure. Juan Paulo de Mesedo Couto. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing right. Why some games run more perfectly in Windows 7 instead of Windows 10? The game crashes all the time. This, you know what, is a question of, it's mostly a question of drivers than anything else. Because most games run equally well. You know what I mean, Vaults. I'm not talking about, you know, we're not gonna start talking about the difference, you know. Of course, NT and, you know, the basics of Windows 2000 were amazing. Were very, very reliable. But, you know, it's a departure. What I mostly mean is it's a departure from the DOS thing that Windows 3 had. I didn't like Windows 3 that much. I thought it was crashing too much. Windows 98 was a nice one. I used Windows 98 for a couple of years. Windows Millennium was sad because Windows Millennium was that operating system that would crash too often. But it did bring some new technologies. Windows Millennium was the first one to have USB thumb drive support and stuff like that. But wow, it was just, you know, it was just really, I gotta say, you know, some of those things that you want to forget at some point. Besides says, I see that you are speaking about Windows 10. I have a question, by the way. I want to understand what is the problem between Windows 10 and NVIDIA VGA driver. Well, you know what? The biggest problem is NVIDIA has been issuing a very high amount of updates with the NVIDIA drivers, and I believe they're tweaking. There's something not right with some NVIDIA drivers in Windows 10. It's kind of complicated. What's my thought on Mac OS 10? It's a great operating system. I've used my Mac computer a lot. It's nice. It's okay. You know, I mean, it's usable. It's nice. It's okay. I have no problem with that. I have nothing negative to say about OS 10. I prefer Windows for the tweaking side, but OS 10 is very nice. You know, like Linux. You know, I use Linux now on 2 or 3 machines, and it's kind of cool. These are nice operating systems. You know, I'm not the kind of guy. I hate the tech guys that are very, oh, Windows is good and Mac is, you know, a piece of crap, or the reverse. The Mac user saying that Windows is crap. I don't like that kind of person. I don't like that person that will say, oh, you know, I don't use Windows, it's just crap. Because, I'm sorry, but, you know, Mac OS 10 is an operating system, and that's it. And there are some sides of Mac OS 10 that are bad. It's not a perfect operating system. Like Windows is not a perfect operating system, you know. It's just, you know, that, mostly. William Letterland, hello there. He says, I've had all versions of Windows from 3.1 to 10 and find Windows 10 to be the most stable by far. I would say, you know, Windows 7 was extremely stable. Personally, the you know, Windows XP was extremely stable, but because it was based on NT, on the same as Windows 2000 also. But Windows 7 was very stable too. Windows XP was extremely stable for me too. Windows 10 is very stable, and you know, that's for sure. So what else is there? There are issues with all the X games on Windows 10. You know, that's always something that happens a lot, Vaults, also concerning older games. Every version of Windows, you always have that, or these few games that's like, okay, with these games, I'm going to have to stick with an older operating system. You know, for example, I got a desktop here with Windows 7. I could have pushed it to Windows 10 and it would have worked fine with it. But the thing is, I was losing a few games that I wanted to play on Windows 10. So I kept it on Windows 7 simply to be able to play these older games. So there's you know, games are a very, very peculiar thing, and gaming PCs are extremely unique in the way they are configured and how Windows versions interact with them and the drivers of the DirectX and everything. So it's a very very unique thing, that's for sure. So you know, it is kind of interesting. But you know, there's always interesting thing. So yeah, Juan Paulo, the 16353 is for people that moved to the skip ahead. There was a period of time you could move to the skip ahead and have builds that you were moving ahead to the Redstone for the next version of Windows in the future. It was open only for about 3 weeks, a month before they said, hey, we've reached our number of users. So they have build 16353, which is after the Fall Careers update. Hey, another news, Windows 10 Fall Careers update. We've got an official date that was actually announced, talking about Windows 10. October 17th. That's interesting. They announced that at IFA. And, you know, it's okay. But the more I look at, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to have these new versions and these new builds because it's fun to see, and I am a tech enthusiast. I like to see new things. I like to play around with new features. Yet, you know, on October 17th, you're going to start the rollout of this new version. And the problem is most regular folks will just not see a difference. They won't. They're gonna see their PC taking a hell of a lot of time updating. They're gonna be you know, scared as hell because it's too long, wondering if it's working. And when they actually get to that update after I don't know how much time, they're just gonna say, why the hell did I wait that long for nothing new? Because that's pretty much what most people will see. And that's why, of course, I kind of think that, you know, a one updated year might be better than 2 years. Like, okay. And please, Microsoft, okay, Fall Careers update. Really? Can't you come up with better names than this? Especially that, you know, it's fall in the Northern Hemisphere, but it's spring and down there, you know, in the Southern Hemisphere. What, you don't care? Don't you feel yourself as an international company? I mean, Windows is everywhere, not just in the Northern Hemisphere. I don't know. And where's the creation in the Creators Update? Especially with the second Fall Creators Update. I mean, I don't see where the creation is, but anyways, that's my rant of the week for something. But at least we now know, and we now have a date of October 17th. For those that wonder, yes, there will be on October 17th. On that day, there should be some update to the media creation tool, meaning that you'll have the image to clean install if you want the Windows 10 Fall Careers update. And it's just going to be, you know, rolling out slowly for people that are waiting for it in their Windows updates. It's going to start rolling slowly. I mean, you know, there's still a lot of people waiting for Creators update. So, you know, there's still going to be people not have that. And that's where I think Microsoft also fails in its update process. You know, at some point they're going to have too many updates of different machines somehow. So you know, yeah, Juan Paulo, you have to be in the skip ahead. If you're not in the skip ahead, you're not getting through 16353. It's really a skip ahead for sure. So that's why you don't get it. You're in the regular fast ring of the main, what we call the main branch of Redstone 3, which is a Fall Careers update. That's why you're at 16281. 16353 is for the fast ring of the skip ahead. People that decided they wanted to move ahead. They had to choose that at some point. If you didn't choose it, you're not on the skip ahead and you cannot get there. Well, there's a tweak for the registry apparently, but you can't technically move ahead. So David Walker says gonna clean install. I feel, you know, I don't know yet because my main PC, the biggest problem is the darn reconfiguration of everything. But I gotta say, I feel like doing a clean install on my main PC when we get to the fall careers update. I think that wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, I've been now more than a year in the about a year and a half now in the same version of Windows, and maybe it could be a good idea to you know, clean install. Last time I've upgraded, it went well. I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, we'll see what's going to happen. But one thing for sure, yes, of course, I'm going to push the Fall Creators Update. When it arrives, I'll push it immediately and immediately post my video of, okay, I've pushed it and here's what happened or not in the pushing of this. But I've got to say one thing though. Anybody that will not have it the first day, I will pretty much say to everyone, wait for it. Don't push it. Look at Creators Update. Creators Update is going well on the upgrade, and it goes well for everybody that is waiting for it. Anybody else that's not waiting for it, some people had problems when they pushed it. So I think you just gotta wait for it, for sure. Shadow Chat says, I have slow internet speed, so I can't download Windows ISO in 24 hours. What should I do? Because site says link will expire in 24 hours. Actually, you use the media creation tool, and that's it, and let it download. It should download through the media creation tool without any problems. I would guess. You know, what kind of speed you have, Shanu, with your internet connection? Because in 24 hours, it's a long time. William Letterland says always does clean installs, quick process. It is a quicker process. That gotta give you. It's a much quicker process, and I always consider a clean install also less buggy and less chances of having something going wrong than upgrading a PC. Upgrading is something I've never really, you know, liked. What else is there? 200 yeah, okay, it's not super fast. You're only a fifth of a megabit per second. That is a slow connection indeed. Use the media creation tool and let it go through. I think it will download using the media creation tool on the Microsoft website. I'm pretty sure it's going to download. Microsoft and Amazon are actually sleeping together in a very weird decision. And you know, you get these decisions from time to time that are extremely bizarre from Microsoft, where Cortana and Amazon's Alexa will have interactions together. It's kind of interesting. Hey there, Tim Robinson. Nice to have you here. So basically, you know, it's just curious because now we're seeing all these assistants show up. You know, I mean, Samsung is working with Armin Kardon now for the Bixby assistant. We have the Google Voice. You know, they have the assistant. There's of course Amazon that has all of these Alexa things. And where's Cortana? Where is Cortana? nowhere to be seen. Even the Armin Kardon Cortana Invoke speaker, we haven't seen one working demo. So I don't know. I don't know. Kind of an interesting thing here that they're partnering, especially since they're kind of a little bit in contradiction with each other. I don't know. Scams on the internet of all sorts. This is interesting because, you know, there's all sorts of scams going on, and I thought, you know, it'd be a good idea to talk about scams because there's a lot of scams going on that people you know, need to know about. The latest is about the fact that we've had basically the IRS scam. There's IRS scam in the United States that's extremely popular. So that means that the scam going with the IRS is actually dangerous. You know, if anybody lives in the United States, you remember that the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, does not send you any emails telling you that, you know, something's wrong and click on a, you know, email attachment, because you're going to get, you know, ransomware. And, you know, I thought this news item was also a great time to talk a little bit about, you know, the different scams on the internet. You know, there's, of course, the email scams. You know, remember that still today, at about 75% of all ransomware are still from email attachments. Email is still the #1 danger for getting bad stuff. And I always, you know, I'm one of those guys that hates email attachments. I would tell everybody, don't attach anything on email, because I probably won't click it, because I just don't want, you know. And of course I always get that comment of, oh well, my antivirus will tell me. Don't count on it. Antivirus is not 100%. And it's so funny because every time I see somebody that got scammed in some way, got ransomware, what happens is that basically the ransomware they clicked on something and they're always telling me, oh, well, I thought it was kind of weird. Yeah, well, why did you click it then? It's always the same thing, you know. And apart from that, you know, there's online scams. Be careful when it's too beautiful to be true. Be careful, people that download illegal content of all sorts. Also, you know, there's the regular scams that, you know, people got to be careful about. One that's very popular, you know, in the Mac world, the Mac side is getting kind of a dose of ransomware lately. And ransomware is interesting in the Mac side because people don't have the same habits that Windows users have. We've been hammered by viruses and ransomware and things like that for so long that the Windows user, as a lot of Windows users, I'm not going to say everybody because I still see people doing wrong things, but the Windows users do have a sense of, I got to be careful because I can get bitten by some bad stuff. And basically, the Mac user not having that danger for so many years is now getting hit by some of these ransomware. And the same, it's extremely funny because it is exactly the same way that Windows users get bitten. Email attachments, or, oh, your Flash player is outdated, click here. The same thing that Windows users had, Mac users are now seeing. And don't do it. Never click oh, your Adobe Flash Player is outdated, click here. Don't do that. And be very careful. I always want to stress out to everyone. I don't care what antivirus you use. Every time I see the question, oh, I use this antivirus, is it good? I want to puke. But, you know, not joking, I don't care. I don't care what you're using. I don't care because from 20 years of tech duties, I can tell you, whatever you use, if you are not careful, you will have viruses and malware and all sorts of bad things. It's really the worst idea in the world to rely on your antivirus. It's not protecting you, okay? Think about it, or work in a way that you think there's just no no protection on your PC, and you're got to be careful, and that's it. It's the best way to stay safe. It's how you're going to stay safe. And that's it. That's it. The rest, I don't care. I don't really care. You can have whatever antivirus you want. It's fine. I use Defender, the one in Windows. At least it doesn't have a gazillion of bloated things that pop up everywhere. And it's okay. I mean, it ain't the best. If you test it intensively, it ain't the best. But it doesn't matter because the best one is here. That's the one you should use. That's the one you need to use all the time. Okay? And if you are careful with what you do, you're fine. It doesn't matter the antivirus you use. And today's antivirus are way bloated, you know. Will protect this, that. You know, I don't do as many tech jobs, you know, as I did because I'm concentrating a lot on YouTube lately. I went to a client of mine, a lady, an old lady that, you know, I probably had her as a client for the past 10 years. And it was at least 3 or 4 years since I've gone there the last time. And a friend of hers said, oh, don't use that Defender thing. It's no good. I'm going to put something good in. She had Avast. And the first thing I noted when I was on her PC is how annoying Avast was. Oh, by the way, this is not right. Oh, by the way, this is too slow. Oh, by the way, that is maybe a link you shouldn't follow. Oh, by the way, it's like, can you shut up? It's like you look at the antivirus pop-ups and it's like, shut up. I don't want your help. I just want you to shut up. And it's the problem with all antivirus today. Come on. Can't you do just, okay, it's checking for viruses and leave me alone. You're not here for anything else. All I gotta say. I can tell you that. And, you know, basically, antivirus, you know, I'm not saying it doesn't protect you in some way. There's a part of protection, yes. But it doesn't never protects you 100%. And more, today, more and more actually, more and more, you see viruses, you see malware that actually aren't even detected by any antivirus. It's getting more and more popular. I got to say that. Hey, Jacqueline Black, nice to have you here. And basically, you know, it's part of the defense. But what you want is just be careful, and that's what you need. And you know, Tim says that Malwarebytes claims that it you know, it detects everything. And you know, I can tell you one thing: for in 20 years, even cleaning a PC, in 20 years, I've you have, you know, any tech guy that you know, you always get that client that you look at the PC, and if that PC were a person, you're like, okay, you got to shoot that person in the head. There's nothing else you're going to do to save that person if that were the PC. And basically, you look at that and you look at how it's acting and you're like, okay, we're going to reinstall. And we'll format and reinstall. Which is the safest thing to do. It's the way you know that nothing's bad, nothing's there when you finish. And you always get that client that's going to say, well, I can't reinstall, I don't have my software. Or, oh, but because all of these, you know, I've got Photoshop that was given to me by a friend, and I've got Office that was given to me by another friend, and it's like, okay, you got tons of illegal software, and you don't want to lose them. That's why you don't want to reinstall. And in my head, I almost feel like saying, hey, you've got illegal software, it's not my F problem. But anyways, so they tell you, well, you gotta clean it. As if, you know, there's some magical cleaning going on. And I remember always telling them, okay, if you want me to clean it, I'll clean it. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm not giving you a warranty, a guarantee of anything. Okay? Because you get these tools and you have like a gazillion tools. I mean, cleaning a PC really that is very infected, you don't use Malwarebytes and that's it. You use 15 different tools that each have something that they detect better than others. And not just the tools, you also have to use your width, because you're like, okay, that thing comes from that folder, and so okay, manually you will go and delete folders and files, rename stuff, and it's a hell of a job. And when it's very infected, you can't say to the person, I guarantee it is cleaned up, because there could be something lurking you didn't see. And she boots back and suddenly it's like, oh, okay, that little pop-up came back. So something somewhere is actually, you know, and there's all sorts of tricks that they use, I can tell you that. So anyways, it's, you know, got to be careful. And remember, the best protection is what you do. It's here, your brain. YouTube downloaders. Who's using YouTube downloaders to download like MP3s and stuff like that from songs? I so many people that I know have used those downloaders to, you know, like download songs and it's it's funny because people have the an interesting sense here of how downloading MP3s using toolbars or a website of some sort isn't a problem, you know, and you're like, it's still illegal, you know. It's no better than downloading songs for free on some torrent or something. And basically, and it's very popular. It's something that's extremely popular. I don't know how many people I've seen, even with my clients. I don't know how many times someone said, oh, by the way, I have a toolbar, or oh, do you know a website I can go to where I could download the, you know, audio of, it's like, it is extremely popular. You know, it's popular because you know, since all those websites like, you know, BearShare and what were the popular ones? Keza, BearShare. There was, of course, Napster was the original first one. You know, all of these things slowly broke down because of, you know, all these lawsuits, and the companies got sued, and of course they would, you know, the software would become unusable. And you know, now they've turned to something else. LimeWire, yes, LimeWire was another one. So they've turned to using tools to rip off the audio from YouTube, which I've never done personally, and for a very simple reason. I love music, and 99% of the audio from YouTube is crappy, and I just can't stand listening to a crappy audio file. So I've never done that, probably for that reason mainly. If there would be like HD audio off of YouTube, I might have done it. I don't know, but you know, I've never been that. I was downloading illegal songs, yes, in the year 2000s with Napster, and maybe I've used LimeWire, but most of what I downloaded was things I already had. I just wanted to have them in MP3, and the rest were like 80s or 70s songs that personally I really don't find any problems in downloading some Led Zeppelin. They made their cash, they've made their money. Who cares today? It's not like, you know, a Lady Gaga album where, okay, that's you know, of course she's rich, but still, you know, new artists, for example, there's something with that. But come on, you know, downloading the greatest hits from the Doors, you're gonna say there's a problem with that? They've made their hundreds of millions of dollars, and half of them are dead anyway. So, you know, there are things sometimes like, come on. But anyways, the record companies don't see it that way. A little joke that I have, I remember downloading a Madonna song, and I think it was LimeWire. And after downloading the song starts for 15 seconds. And then after 15 seconds, it's Madonna's voice. It says, "So, you thought you could rip off my songs?" And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So anyways, you know, people have moved on to downloading from YouTube. And YouTube itself has not been very proactive about that much. You know, sometimes, yeah, by doing an update on YouTube, some tools would stop working. But now what's happening is that there's a big takedown. There's one site that was taken down, which is youtube2mp3.com. There are some toolbars that stopped working recently, and it all has to do with the record companies. The major labels are suing everybody. Everybody that is offering a tool that you can download their songs through YouTube is getting sued right now. So that, I guess that's the next wave. The next wave of you know, things disappearing with music that you can download off of YouTube and stuff like that. You know, and let's face it, 90% of the downloads. You know, there's some types of downloads. Like sometimes I see somebody here in the chat that's telling me, oh, you know, I download your live shows in a MP3 file so I can listen to it in my car. It's kind of interesting. And it's like, yeah, you know, I probably, you know, and I had some people tell me, your show should be available through iTunes, or, you know, the audio version through iTunes or stuff like that. Which, yeah, that's true. It could be interesting to have it there. But, you know, there's a lot of things also to consider with that. There's, you know, on my case, I don't really mind. It's just that's you. Of course, you do think of, well, if you don't watch my show and you're just downloading the audio, that means there's no ads that are played. That means I get no cash from YouTube. So, of course, you know, there's different ways of viewing things. But, you know, it's okay. I mean, you're watching my show, you're listening to my show. Got no problem with that much. Unless everybody would do it like that, you know. Chris Lurie, nice to have you here. Yeah, WinMX, I remember that also. I've seen so many with clients. With my clients, I've seen a lot of weird ones that I'd never seen before. It's like, what is that exactly? So, yeah, it is troubling, Tim, that our childhood icons are dying. And basically, it's just crazy when you think about it. But, you know, there's a lot of that happening, and the major labels are actually basically, you know, you don't know. Well, it depends, Waltz. When you watch live, there's you could have an ad when you start the stream. So sometimes you get an ad at the beginning when you start. But there's only one ad. But, you know, basically what happens is if you watch later, you know, I add, you know, in maybe in a 2-hour show, I will add maybe 4 or 5 points where ads will be displayed, but there could be one at the beginning, but it's not everybody that sees that one apparently. So I don't know. Anyways, you know, it's there's, you can rant about so many things about that, and you know, it's not something that I really think about, and honestly, it's not for me, it's, you know, that is not a problem. I find it, you know, there's other things that are worse than that for that. So anyways, there's a big takedown of all of these tools now. So if your favorite YouTube downloader stops working, well, you just got to take and think of you know, that the major labels have taken it down. Yeah, it depends on the location. Absolutely, Waltz. Some locations have more ads than others, for sure. Okay, how's my insider boot speed? My boot speed is good. My first boot speed was slow, but my boot speed seems to be back to normal pretty much. But it took like 2 or 3 restarts of my insider build for it to become kind of more regular. But even now, today, before I was preparing stuff here for the live show, and I just found that it was a little sluggish. So there's some sluggishness in there for sure. So take care, Juan Paulo from Brazil. Nice to have you here. Hope that you can come back to our live shows whenever you can. Okay, there was a survey that was interesting this week, because we're looking at the PC market, you know, that's shrinking. People buy less laptops and buy less PCs and desktops. But there was a survey that came out that was very interesting. It looked at the business side, because it wanted to clear out who is not buying computers, basically. And the survey really was very clear that the business side is buying PCs. It's clearly regular folks, you know, that aren't buying PCs as much because they don't feel the need for it anymore. And I can understand that, because if you look at the, you know, the smartphones that people have today, all of these smartphones that we get today, you know, I mean, this is cool, you know, we do everything in here. It's just, there's nothing we can do with this. For a lot of people, that's enough. I see it personally with especially the younger generation. So many people, so many young generation just like, I don't have a computer. I do everything with my phone. And I guess it's a trend slowly coming. And you know, with the smart TVs that have capabilities like browsers also and all of that, it's changing. Things are changing. And not as many people feel the need to have a PC anymore. But the survey did show how enterprise are hooked to PCs, and that the combo of, you know, Windows and Office for business and enterprise is for now unbreakable. And into the future, we don't see anybody that we don't see a lot of enterprise that are going to move on to something else. That is still a stronghold, and they were kind of saying, well, you know, Microsoft will need to understand that their future is residing more and more on enterprise and business for the Windows side than anything else. But most people now, they have other technologies that take care of what they want. I mean, you know, they got email on their phone, they text people on their phone, they need to view something on the internet, they have a browser on their phone. You know, when I'm outside, when I'm not home, and I'm a full day somewhere else, Well, I got everything here. I go here to do whatever I want. And it works fine. And the only reason I've got these PCs is, first, because I'm a tech enthusiast, like to have a PC, a real computer. But, I mean, and I do YouTube videos and all of that, but I gotta say, pretty interesting when you think about it, how the future is looking up. Okay, questions. A few questions came in. We're going to check out the questions here, and I'm going to check out also some questions. Sean Robinson came up with a question here that I've seen. Let me just check it out. Check it out here. Okay, we're going to check out the... okay. So we have Sean Robinson that sent me a little screenshot of something that he's seen on his PC while he's scanning with Malwarebytes Adware Scanner, ADW Cleaner, and basically two things are showing up, which is pup.optional.legacy, pup.optional.amazontb, and basically the question that comes to mind is, I've not been able to remove these infections from my laptop in Windows 10. I have even tried to run the scan in safe mode, but the infections will not go away. Yeah, that's because you might have something. Do you have toolbars installed, like a Amazon toolbar or something like that? You know, these are not infections per se. They're PUP or potentially unwanted, you know, pop-up software basically, and they come from different size. If they can't, you know, if you can't remove them, there's something running on your system that has that in it. So if you can't remove them, you need to understand what software am I running, or do you have a toolbar running in your browsers, like in Chrome or whatever browser you're using, that has that in it. That is what you need to check out, because it can't remove it. It's running. It's running. And so there's something that's installed on your PC, and one of the things that could be there also, Sean Robinson, is that you might have a software installed that has extra crap with it. A great example, I run Cam Studio software. Cam Studio, if you're not careful, has 2 or 3 unwanted software that will actually show up in a adware cleaner like that. And that is what you need to check for. How long have you been getting this? Have you noticed if you've installed something new when it appeared? And you can try, you used ADW Cleaner, try Malwarebytes anti-malware directly. Try with that one. It could also be that there's something that it can't remove for some reason. One of the things that you can also check out, I believe in that software, there's a place that you can check out that will show you the path of where it's located within your PC. What you could do is boot up in safe mode and try to delete the folder in which it is, or at least the files, depending on where it is. By finding their locations, it happens that a running malware cannot be removed by a software. So sometimes you need to manually do it. But check out all the software you've got installed on your PC, Sean, because I suspect there's something that you use or that you have installed that is innocent, that is a, you know, okay software. But there's something that came with it, and that's what is showing up. But check check it with, click on it and check where it comes from. You will have a path of where it is inside your system, and you can manually, by going to, you go to your safe mode and manually delete it. And if it can't delete, by the way, a little trick that I use, rename it. Often it can't delete, but it's going to say, okay, I'll rename it to something else. Reboot your system, and when you reboot, you'll see that now you can delete it because it can't find it, it can't get hold of it and prevent you from doing something with it. So check it out. Check it out. You might need to remove it manually. They're not dangerous pieces of things that you have there, but I totally understand that we don't want to have crap with it, for sure. Chris Lurie, I was wondering what you think about using the product from Microsoft called EMET. Yeah, I heard that they are slowly abandoning it, as they say Windows 10 has similar functionalities, and it is a very interesting functionality, basically. Yes, in Windows 10 they're trying to get rid of that. But it's very weird because they have kind of brought it back a little bit. So I don't know exactly the future of that thing. And by the way, it's the EMET thing is the Enhanced Mitigation Experience Toolkit from Microsoft, because they took it kind of all out and brought it back partially. I'm not sure what's going to happen with it yet. When you know how to use it well, it could be a nice toolkit to have. It's a security toolkit, and but I don't know. I personally think they should keep it there, because for people that are used to using that, why not keep it there? But they're trying to lure us and tell us that, well, we went with Defender today, and the way Defender works, you don't really need that, and so on. But yeah, but there is going to there is going to, I don't know, they're trying to remove it. Or is it going to be removed totally? I don't know. Personally, I don't know. Okay. Questions that we've got. Where's Paul the cat? He's sleeping. He's sleeping in a chair not far from here. But I don't want to wake him up. Questions that we have. We have an interesting question about free software coming from our friend Frank, which is a regular viewer. And he was wondering, because he wanted to have a few software that would have functionalities. He doesn't want to pay for software, and he was wondering what are the equivalent that I could give him for the following 3 things. Astronomy. One amazing piece of astronomy software that you might want to use, and I will try to find the name here. It's, let me just find it. I think I put it on the desktop there. It won't take long, I think. Stellarium. Stellarium is a great piece of software. It's an astronomy package, so Stellarium, at stellarium.org, by the way. Great piece of software for astronomy. One of the best free software, and it is amazing. I gotta say, stellarium.org, and it is a full package of viewing the skies, viewing now here it's daytime, so that's why you see the blue skies, but if you want to put it in nighttime, let's try to put the clock ahead here. Let's move it ahead. Let's move it ahead in a faster speed. Trying to find, okay, let's stop it. How the hell can I change its time? I'm trying to find where. But, I can't find it where, but anyways, it's a great piece of software. You can even see the satellites that move overhead, the planets, the constellations, everything. You can click a star and have all the information. You just move around here. So for example, if I look at the sky here, you can see the sun. If you click on an object like the sun here, you've got all the details of all the information you need. Stellarium is an amazing piece of software. It's one of the most complete software for astronomy available. It is great. Check it out. That's one of the best free astronomy software around. The Vault says, I actually like Sky Android app for astronomy for a simple reason that I can stand outdoors. Yeah, for that, true, Vault. There are some apps for the phones that are pretty cool because you can physically see what you're looking at and even point the phone towards. For the mobile side, yeah. Here we're answering he wants to know for Windows, so that's why I've used Stellarium, because for Windows purpose, it's the best, one of the best, if not the best that you can have for free. A spreadsheet like Excel, LibreOffice. LibreOffice is the best that you can have. It is a complete suite of software. LibreOffice.org, I believe, and we'll see this. If it's porn, then it was not .org. So free office suite, LibreOffice.org is a great suite of office products. It has an equivalent for Word, like Microsoft Word. It has an equivalent for Excel. It has an equivalent for PowerPoint and so on. So, you know, this is a great free version. Only drawback, if you share a lot with people that have the actual Microsoft Office, sometimes compatibility is not totally, not totally compatible. But if it's mostly for you and you want to have some kind of Excel capability, LibreOffice has a spreadsheet that's pretty good. And Photoshop equivalent. The software for the Photoshop equivalent that I will give you is GIMP. So I will type it here because I'm trying to remember the website. The website is gimp.org. G-I-M-P. GIMP. GIMP is a very complete, very complete software that has all the tools pretty much of for a Photoshop equivalent. It is really great, and it works absolutely well. So GIMP is a cool replacement for Photoshop for free. Other questions, those come from let me just check here the email. So those questions that are on this page come from Zeb, and he says that he loves the show. He discovered the live shows for the tech show a while back, and he's just discovered the radio shows, and he really loves them also. His question is, what do you think about connected devices? He says they seem to be insecure. I read reports all the time about, you know, how these devices can be, of course, hacked and so on. What are my thoughts on it? Yeah, you know, the problem with connected devices right now is lack of a standard for security and a lack of support of many companies. That means a lot of these devices are left on their own. They have security flaws and nothing to fix them because the companies just don't take care of that. So be careful in buying whatever. So you say, oh, our online web camera is secure, smart lights, thermostats, and how to control them. Buy a well-known brand, because a lot of the Chinese cheap stuff is often insecure because of no updates. Read about it before you buy one. A lot of these devices can be controlled, like with Google Voice things, with Amazon's, Alexa, Amazon's control systems of all sorts, and all the assistants. Even Cortana can, in a PC, control some of these devices depending on what device you got. Be careful, choose well, and I would say Google is your friend in there, because you can check out what other people think. You can check out how secure they could be. There are some great stuff out there, but not all of it is good. Some of them looks good but have security flaws. There could be issues. Research is the best friend that you can have, because there's a lot of crappy things that can happen with that. Okay, another question here that I got. This one is from Philip. Philip says, hello, love your show, always fun. And here are a few questions that I've got. So, first question, is email secure for business and personal information? No. Email is unencrypted. Email is can be intercepted by pretty much anyone that wants to. It's open text being sent from one place to the other. It's totally insecure. It's not the best way for secure business. And you're mentioning that you have a pretty big business that has a lot of clients, and you were wondering. I personally would rely on some companies that are actually there to make security the prime thing for sending out and receiving information between your business partners. Regular email is very, very easy to steal all the data from, and you should never send personal information through an email, because it will be scooped up somewhere. There's robots on the internet that are just there to have emails go through. They scan keywords, and when they find anything that is interesting for them, they scoop it up. There's no security in email. And that answers part of the second question, why a lot of companies are using fax technology. First of all, the real answer for a lot of it is a lot of companies have people that are zero in technology and have no idea how to put attachments. It might look funny, but it's so standard. As a tech guy, I can tell you, just having people understand how to have a attachment, crazy. One thing you could do in email secure, there are some email services that you can also subscribe to. Most of them are paid now, but you can use some email services. I remember one was Hushmail. I don't know if it still exists. Hushmail. Does Hushmail still exist? I don't even know. Hushmail. Yeah, it does. So, for example, Hushmail. And I'm going to show you the page here. Hushmail is an enhanced type of email. What it does is that if you and your correspondent have Hushmail capability, or emails, your emails are encrypted from point A to point B. So there are services like this that you can use, and I used to have a Hushmail. So there's business and personal use, and what happens is the only thing that's important is that both you and your business partner need to have a Hushmail account, because you can't send from Hushmail to, say, Gmail, because from Hushmail to Gmail it won't be encrypted, but from Hushmail to Hushmail it will. Also, some have a possibility of sending to different emails with encryption. Basically what is going to happen is that your partner will know a password that only him knows, or you and him. And when you send an email, the encryption, it's decrypted with the password. There are a few things like that that can be used, but if you want to be secure and be safe sending email, that's a lot what you need to do. Also, there's legal reasons, of course, like Vault says, for paper signed and fax will count as a proper signature. That, of course, is also the case. That is totally true. You know, and you got to think about, because, you know, today you can, with touch devices, you can, you know, easily sign documents today. But, you know, it's still not there yet. I mean, someday the fax will not exist anymore, but it's not, we're not there yet. And but my first reason is also true. There's a lot of things, you know, that that people don't do because they just don't know how to do it. A few things also you can do is, for example, if you send documents through email, if people have Word or Excel or things like that, you can password protect a Word document or an Excel document. That will be encrypted and nobody can see it. So that's also possible. And finally, you say you've got sometimes up to gigabytes of documentation to send out. You can't send it through email. What to do? Use a service like Dropbox. Dropbox will let you upload. There's I think it's 2 gigabytes that Dropbox gives free. So if you have up to 2 gigabytes, you can send up a file there, and then you just click and share. It's going to give you a link, and that link will be the possibility for to get the document for the other person. And if you need more space, you can buy space from Dropbox and put those things online and share them through links that you send with Dropbox. The good and the bad and the ugly for this week, before we go to the chat room and talk a little bit. Okay, the Yahoo. Okay, Yahoo is very interesting. Okay, Yahoo, Verizon now bought Yahoo, of course, and that deal is going through and everything. But when the Yahoo email, you know, the data leak, where all of our personal information on emails on Yahoo happened, there was a group in the United States that said, hey, we're going to have a class action lawsuit because you not being careful with your security and having that happen makes us insecure into the future. And Yahoo and Verizon said, no, we told you, and you just change your password and you're fine. And they kind of said, well, there's no reason for any lawsuits or anything. Well, the judge, and that's the good news this week, the judge in the US said, no, you can go ahead with your lawsuit because you're right in saying that, you know, if you can prove that Yahoo was careless, and there's a lot of proof that Yahoo was totally careless and that knew it for such a long time without telling us, yes, Yahoo can be confronted with a lawsuit. And yes, you're going ahead. And of course, that's kind of a blow because Verizon was hoping that that could not go through. Now, I don't know how this can work, but I mean, if you can prove that Yahoo was careless, which shouldn't be that difficult in the Yahoo case, kind of interesting here. It's going to cost Verizon some money. And I don't know how much it could cost them, but it's going to be an interesting thing to look at in the future, what a lawsuit can bring or not, because you know, you never know what happens. And the bad news of the week is the most dumb and stupid comment that happened in the past 7 days. Of course, last week I told you that you had until Wednesday of last week, Eastern Time, evening, to file your net neutrality comment with the FCC. And AT&T actually went with a very idiot comment saying, well, the way we see it, 90% of the people who are for net neutrality actually don't understand it. They don't understand it. And in reality, 90% of the people don't want net neutrality. It's just that they don't understand what net neutrality is exactly. Really? Really? Okay. People are stupid like that? You think so? Okay. Come on, ET&T. This one makes me laugh. And I have to add that to the dumb comments of this year. You know, if we have a top 10 of the most idiotic comments of tech companies of this year, AT&T is one of them. I mean, come on. Come on. You are such a troll. You're just trying to push that net neutrality off the rails so that you can do whatever you fucking want. Come on. Go to hell, AT&T. And you are watching the Live Tech Show number 87 for September 5th, 2017. I can imagine, you know, like everybody watching off the internet from AT&T, and it's like it just blanks suddenly. The stream stops. Hey, everybody in the chat. How are you guys and girls? Nice to have you here. And, you know, it's just one of those things that's like, come on. Come on. It's just crazy. And, you know, net neutrality is important. I gotta say, it's really, really important. And, you know, it's just kind of cool. You know, I added something today that I didn't add on the last few shows. And I think we're going to continue doing it like this, by the way. You know, I was interacting because I was looking at the chat room. And every time we had a news item today, I was interacting with you guys, having your own comments on this. And I thought it had an interesting dimension, more interesting dimension to the show. So it's kind of interesting. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but I think we break a record today. I saw the counter go to 51 about half an hour ago up here. So 51 would be a record for our live tech show. It's kind of almost double what we had in our high times in last year. So it's kind of cool. And it's kind of cool. And it's you know, it's fun. I was watching yesterday because I was thinking of you know, a lot of you you know, even as of today, tell me how you miss the famous, you know, Learn the Tech show where we were talking about one item in technology. And basically I saw a super, if you guys have access to that, check it out. It's made by PBS, the public station in the United States. And unfortunately, one of the idiotic things that happens with that PBS documentary is it's online, but here in Canada we can't view it. It says that we're not in the United States, I can't view it. So I used other means to view it, and it's a documentary called The Farthest. It is a 90-minute documentary about the Voyager spacecrafts that went out of the solar system now, and how the mission started, how everything was. It's just an amazing documentary. If anyone has wants to see it, The Farthest, and it's just amazingly cool. Unfortunately, like I said, if you're outside the US, I don't know if it's every country, but if I do PBS, The Farthest. So anyways, I found another way of checking it out, but here is the documentary here, The Farthest, Voyager in Space. And it's 1 hour and 37 minutes, and it is a amazing documentary, you guys. You gotta watch this. It's just so cool, and it's wow. And it made me think of that live tech show. One of the tech shows that a lot of you told me you really loved was the one when we talked about the technologies and of you know, the space probes and everything. And I was thinking, wow, that would have been really would have been kind of cool to do a show, a Learn the Tech show about the Voyagers. They are, you know, for me, the Voyager spacecrafts are, yeah, Patrick, the fart fest. The Voyager spacecraft, since I was young, were fascinating for me because they, and actually that documentary is a 2017 documentary. It was just released not long ago, and it is because today, September 5th, is 40 years. It was the Voyager 1 spacecraft was sent September the 5th, 1977. 40 years. 40 years. Today, exactly. And when I was young, I you know, astronomy was always been a very, very interesting you know, subject for me, and I would read every books. So when I was, you know, reading about the Voyager spacecraft, of course, when I read and saw the first pictures in 1980 of Jupiter, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And I would see, you know, in 1982 to Saturn, in 1986 to Uranus, 89 to Neptune. And I remember thinking, oh wow, this is going to be cool to see in the next years. And of course now it's all, you know, gone. It's all in the past. And it's an amazing documentary. And it's these are the first man-made objects to actually now have escaped and be outside of the solar system. For the first time, we have something in interstellar space. It's a very interesting documentary. The controversy of all the information that they were giving about us on the gold-plated discs and all of that. Very, very, very cool documentary, by the way. So it's really, really cool. Albert Zappa says that's another reason I switched back to old version of YouTube. New one didn't have the watching now window. Huh. Interesting. They have a lot of changes in the new YouTube, the way that it is, and even I, as a YouTube creator, I gotta kind of relearn some things. They've changed a lot of stuff there for sure. So really, really amazing. There's a lot of interesting documentaries, even on YouTube. There's so many cool things. I saw a BBC documentary that is a fantastic documentary of that's been remade in a new way in the past year or two, and it's about the atomic weapon from the start, when, you know, they took the decision to make the first nuclear weapon, and up to today. Very, very nice documentary. Like an hour and a half. That one also is an hour and a half. There's a lot of nice BBC documentaries, by the way. And yep, topdocumentaries.com also is nice. So kind of cool. Anybody has anything to add before we turn things down for our tech show? Of course, this is Live Tech Show 87, September 5th. And of course, we are here every Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 1900 hours UTC. We have some tech news. We answer some questions. There's a nice chat room with fantastic people. They don't bite. They are very nice with each other. So there's a lot of things. That are very, very nice. Yeah, PBS has great documentaries, for sure. For sure. And yeah, I did review your email, Alex. We're going to, because this is with the insider stuff, right? I want to follow shutdown problem, take the same test problems. Okay, so yeah, it's insider already. I'm gonna keep that email, Alex, for the insider show, since it has insider information to it, and we'll discuss that more in the insider show on Thursday. So I think it's going to be the best show for that. We'll have something to talk about, and basically, Reese Hodem, obvious Linux. Well, kind of nice. I'm testing out Zorin OS right now. That I'll be posting a video, hopefully today or tomorrow. It's kind of cute. It's special, and I'm gonna follow the Tech Radar link to the best distros for beginners and test them all and give my opinion on it. But kind of interesting. And I believe I've seen many documentaries on that EEV Discovery Channel, Vaults. I've stumbled, you know, when you start looking at the documentaries, there's a lot of so much stuff on YouTube. I mean, anybody that's curious, YouTube has a lot of content that you can view that is just amazing. Mascot is sleeping. He doesn't seem to want to say hi today, so I don't know. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, Zorin is coming today or probably tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll have some time. I'll post my Zorin tomorrow, and after I post a few videos of Zorin of things that I want to talk about, I'll scrap it and install a next version in the list from Tech Radar. And we're going to do that regularly right now, and slowly post more and more videos. So my new job, Vault, starts Monday. Monday morning, the September 11th. And it will be 2 days, Mondays and Wednesdays, which were chosen because of the live shows. So it gives you an idea of how they really are really doing what I want. And we'll see. But Monday morning, 9:30. So for those that wonder what that is, it's simply part-time at Microsoft, 2 days a week, starting next Monday, Monday and Wednesday. We'll see how that goes. I'm not sure yet. You know, I've been working at my, being self-employed for such a long time. Oh, don't worry about it, Vaults. You're not the only one surprised. I was pretty sure they were going to say, forget it. So you're not the only one to be very surprised. I can tell you that, Vaults. I actually wonder what they see in me that they, you know, want to do it. Because technically they wanted to have full time. And I did tell them I'm not going to do full time. You know, it was that or nothing, and I think they just wanted to. They wanted that because they say they probably in their minds, I would guess they were thinking, I'm gonna start with that, and maybe he's gonna bring in a full-time eventual. But we'll see, anyways. And you know, I don't have too much. I'm not expecting too much because I have all of this. I have my, you know. I have my life that's been self-employed for 20 years. I'm kind of, you know, kind of very independent, and you know, I'm one of those guys that has a temper that's like, okay, if it doesn't go well, the hell with it. I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna change or do things I don't want to do. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll give you guys some news about this in the next few weeks. So, yeah, I'll be working at a department where they actually have some hardware and some hardware that I can't talk about with Windows, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very interesting side to it. And of course, I signed a promise to not to talk about it, not to talk about what I see there. Never. Or at least as long as nobody knows about it. You know, like Vault says, won't be easy. Self-employed freelancer for 15 years. You know, when you're your own little boss, and you've been doing your own things, it ain't very easy to work for somebody else. I can tell you that. Yep, that's why we have Mondays and Wednesdays, so I can do the shows on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, as I'm doing right now. At the worst, if there would be something, I would move one show to another day. But for now, 2 days is enough, and we'll see. And I'm giving myself up to Christmas to decide exactly what I want to do with that. I am far from being convinced that I'm gonna really like it, and it's an experiment because I am open-minded and I think that it's the best thing to try it out for sure. And yeah, that could be a possibility of vaults. Anyways, it's if there would be another day added, I would move the show to another day. That's it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. You never know. In life, sometimes I have this weird thing that happens, and you're like, okay, kind of interesting. So I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Thank you all for being here. It was pretty nice to have all of you as usual. We've reached a 51 number at some point about midway in the show. When I was in I noticed that when I was in the news, we were steady around 40. And when I talked about the free software, that's where we peaked almost at 50, 51. And then it came back down later on. So kind of interesting. So thanks for being here, everybody. Next show is, of course, the Windows Insider Hour. That'll be Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 1900 UTC. And hope that you guys will enjoy that as well. Cross our fingers, maybe a build tomorrow. And for those on the radio channel, we have a VHF UHF live show Friday at 2000 hours UTC. We're going to be listening and tuning to satellites in orbit. And on Saturday, a shortwave radio show. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy our week of live shows. Take care, everybody. Love you all. Stay safe and see you soon. Bye-bye.